Interesting statistic here. 70% of all digital transformations fail to meet their stated goal. Over 2/3 of transformations don't succeed. Why? We're going to get into it and actually talk to someone who was successful at that. So, let's get started. Welcome. My name is Eric Wilson. I am your host for IBF On Demand, our new podcast that is sweeping the globe right now. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you continue to share it. We need subscribers, we need likes, we need shares. So please continue to do that. We do have a sponsor, Arkiva. Happy to have them on board. They're generous in helping us get this started as well. They're your one-stop S&OP software solution. And we're going to find out a company that actually utilized them today too and some of the benefits they had. But this is about transformation. That's what we're going to talk about today, transformation. Why do companies do it? We talked in the intro, 70% of the companies aren't doing it right. So why even start doing it? Because it's a necessity now. Because companies need to start looking at their digital transformation process, their supply chain, their demand planning processes, and look to revamp them going forward. And that's where digital transformation, technology, process, people come into place. We already know that predictive analytics can add about 15 to 25% improvement on your forecast. Looking at predictive analytics, machine learning, new technology, and new processes. We already know, because of IBF research, that a 15% improvement on your forecast is 3% to your bottom line pre-tax. So this is a real savings to your company to look at being able to do this if you do it right. And we also know that you can have a 20% improvement on productivity from planners with the right technology and the right processes in place. Digital transformation can pay big dividends if done right. So let's look at some companies who did it right, and we can look at some challenges that other companies have as well. We do have a special guest today, Misty Doan from Escalade Sports. They went through a huge digital transformation and actually got recognized for it. I ran into her at a University of Kentucky supply chain forum not too long ago, where they received the Innovation Award for their digital transformation efforts. After 2 years, they saw tremendous benefits and had tremendous progress. And they actually utilized Arkiva in the process. So with that, I'm going to bring on board Misty to talk a little bit about what they did and some of their challenges. Misty Doan, I said, is a supply and inventory manager at Escalade Sports. She spoke at numerous conferences for the IBF and has recently written an article in the winter of 2018-2019 special edition of the Journal of Business Forecasting, Women in Demand. She has over 20 years experience. She's led demand review meetings, product review meetings, and executive S&OP is part of her expertise. Her experience covers multiple industries, including packaging, food, beauty products, party supplies, and sporting goods. And she was recently a key member of a digital transformation project at Escalade Sports that's just wrapping up. So with that, let me bring on Misty Doan. Okay, we are here with Misty Doan, the supply and inventory manager at Escalade Sports. I said they just went through a large transformation project themselves. I wanted to get some feedback and input from her. They recently, at the Gatton College of Business and Economics annual supply chain forum, the 10th annual this year, they were actually the recipients of the Supply Chain Innovation Award. So congratulations, Misty.
Thank you.
Yep, that was much earned. I know you guys went through a lot of pain, but success in the past 18 months. Is that correct?
That is very correct, yes.
So I want to start off with kind of the first question of what was the impetus, or why did you actually go through this this transformation project to start with?
That's a great question. When you think about the economy that we're in today, very heavily focused on e-commerce, on speed to business, getting it out to the consumer. And then you throw on the technology and the availability of the data that we had, we just couldn't keep up. And so part of going through this was to get a BI tool up, but also to get planning in real time, get it a lot faster, being able to do the analytics that we need to manage a business in this e-commerce environment.
Yeah, you talk about the business we're in right now. I mean, currently, the world's going through a shock right now through a global pandemic, and knowing your customer is important, but also being that agility and visibility. I mean, did visibility play a big piece of this as well?
Absolutely. I mean, just being able to see not only where you're at on your inventory, on the sales that are coming in, but able to get a better picture of where you think you're going, and not just on sales, but what does that inventory look like 6 months from now? What about a year from now? Am I going to have excess inventory? Because we know we will. Where is it? And at the same time, am I going to be shorting my customers before I can get more stock in? What does that look like? Those are all answers to questions. While we don't have a crystal ball, being able to kind of peel that onion back and to see that visibility is really important.
Wow. So, what were some of the things you did? What was some of the technology you implemented, and during this transformation project? What exactly did you do to accomplish that?
So we started off getting a data warehouse, get all of our data to where we could access that data, get it into a BI tool, obviously to improve that visibility. But the big thing I think that we did that really Gatton College award came about was the planning side of that. We implemented a system called Arkiva, gave us better demand planning, better inventory planning, and then better replenishment signals. It's allowing us to kind of see those changes on the fly, being able to get updates a lot quicker, and being able to plan out where we're going or where we think we're going, which is important in this current environment.
That's interesting. You mentioned the starting with data, and I've been a huge proponent of that as well, of always starting with the data and understanding exactly what you're dealing with. I mean, so that really was the first step in this process for you?
Absolutely. If you don't have data, you can try to plan, but you've got to have somewhere to start. So it's not even just having some data, but you also need to take a look at your data, do a little data cleansing, make sure that what you're putting in is the right data.
Okay. So you mentioned the technology side. I mean, you're looking at data warehouses, BI, the Arkiva, demand, inventory, supply. Anything on the process side that really was a dramatic change for you as well?
In order to do this, you have to be experts at change management. In supply chain, I would argue we are experts at change management, but we normally apply that to people and to tools. Or sorry, not to people, but to processes and to tools. You also have to apply that to the people. So there's a lot of change management with the training, making sure that we have a base skill set, getting people up to speed. Not just in how to use the tool, but the questions to ask. Where are we going? What's available? So that's an ongoing process. It's not a, ooh, we trained one day and now we're all experts. No, it's a continual process. So part of that challenge really is an ongoing training and execution of the tools that we've implemented, where we're going. It's a journey. It's not just a destination.
That's great, great words of wisdom, insights there. It is a journey. How long did this journey take you exactly?
To the point that we had Arkiva fully implemented and actually getting use of it, it's 18 months. But now we're another 6 months onto that, and we're still evolving the tool. We're still bringing on, additional players and users of that software. So, as much as I'd like to say it's only 18 months, we're now 2 years into it, and we're still on that journey.
So it truly is a journey, but the initial part was about 18 months, and then the journey's continuing on. What was some of the benefits you're already seeing from this?
Well, some of the benefits we're already seeing is, improvements in not only being able to define excess, but in reduction of excess inventory. We're being able to have our fill rate go up by 10%.
Wow.
Just seeing things like premium freight and fines down by 17%. Demand variation is a 26% improvement just at the get-go, and it's continuing to improve as we go.
So you saw a 26% improvement on your forecast.
Yes.
Just in the 18 months already.
Yeah.
Now, I started before this, highlighted some IBF research saying that 15% improvement brings about 3% on your bottom line. So you're talking about a 10% fill rate improvement. You mentioned a 17% reduction in premium freight. So you actually probably seen an ROI on this already, haven't you?
Correct. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
wow.
Absolutely.
So not only do you get the benefits from it, but the transformation, if done successfully, does pay for itself, pretty much,
It,
is what you're looking
it,
at.
it is, and it pays for itself pretty quickly.
Okay, so those are all the good sides. I'll put you on the spot now. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm sure it did not come without challenges. I'm sure it wasn't an easy path. What were some of those challenges you have?
It goes back to that change management. We don't talk about that near enough. For every time you think you're taking 2 steps forward, there's usually a large step back somewhere in that immediate future. People like change when it gives them better results. They don't like to be the ones to have to change. So long as everybody else around them is changing, it's great. But they don't want to necessarily have to do the change. We get ingrained in our habits, so it's easy to go say, I'm going to stop and get my coffee every morning, and then if the road's closed and I can't get to my favorite coffee place, what do I do? It's the same thing when you're changing a software. So the biggest struggles for us really is managing that change and the expectations that go with that.
That's great parting words there. I want to thank you, Misty, for being part of this and providing to our audience a little bit of insights of exactly what you went through, the good, the bad, and the ugly with transformation. I want to congratulate Escalade Sports on that Innovation Award. I want to congratulate you. So keep healthy, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit more about transformation. And we talked about some of the challenges. Let's get into the 5 pitfalls that you may see, or companies generally see, when looking at a supply chain or digital transformation. Because if we can tell you what I've done wrong and what other companies have done wrong, maybe you know what to avoid going forward. I think the first biggest challenge that I see in digital transformation, what I hear, and you hear from executives as well, is don't underestimate the vision. Not having a clear vision of why you're doing it. One of the first questions I asked her was why exactly you went through this transformation project. And she was able to say, hey, we had this problem, we were solving for this. It was a clear understanding of exactly why you wanted to accomplish it. There has to be a strategy of the organization that the digital transformation is trying to fit. Far too many times, it's the shiny coin that a CEO or a CIO went to a conference and heard about. They come back and say, hey, we have to do digital transformation. Everybody else is doing it. It's not that simple. Why are you doing it? Answer that question first. And if you can answer that question first and spell out a clear vision for the transformation, you're already ahead of that 70% that fail at digital transformation. The second thing, I mentioned strategy. Not only is that strategy part of that vision, you need to align to a strategy. Different organizations have different reasons. We kind of look at this cost cash service. And ideally, you want to be able to do all of it better. You want to improve fill rates and service the customer. You want to lower your inventory. You want to reduce your cost. But being honest, the next level under that, there's one that's going to be key. If you're a company that owns, dozens of companies and you're buying and selling companies, guess what? Cash is going to be king for you. You may be willing to sacrifice a little bit of service. You want to have good margins, but inventory, you got to bring it down because cash is king in that type of company. If you're looking at some type of food services or another company who has very thin margins, you may not have the margins to play with when you're looking at cost, efficiencies. That's what you're looking to really bring out with a transformation project. You're going to have an underlying strategy. And also there's an ecosystem involved with that strategy. Strategies don't happen in a vacuum. Strategy needs to be company-wide. And a transformation is company-wide. One of the difference between any type of incremental change and transformation is a step change. And it impacts the entire organization. If it impacts the entire organization, there's an ecosystem involved with that as well. There's other systems, there's other processes that you have to be cognizant of And you have to look at your overall strategy is permeating to every part of your organization and every part of a digital transformation project as well. So you really have to look at the power of your vision and your strategy. I would say the next major pitfall is the people at the top. And this goes with an S&OP implementation. It goes with a digital transformation. It goes with a planning organization structure change or implementation as well. It really goes to the top. Those are the key. Having that vision at the top that really is on board, and having not only the sponsorship, but engagement. And there's a key difference between those two. And I hype on this a lot. There's a difference between having a sponsor and someone write their name on a project plan that's on a C level and having engagement. Engagement means they're actively participating in the project all the way through it. They properly resource it. They don't find the next shiny penny 3 or 4 months down the road and assume, hey, that one's old news. Now we're going on to this thing that someone's talked about. They understand that it is a journey, and they're part of this journey all the way through the process. I kind of mentioned in an S&OP process, the difference between a sponsorship and engagement is the sponsorship would say, yes, we're going to be doing an S&OP process and mandating it. The engaged executive shows up at the meetings. It's no different with the transformation. The engaged executive shows up. The engaged executive will be sending out those emails, celebrating the wins. Those engaged executives will understand exactly the challenges that may be facing and help get rid of those roadblocks for a project team. An engaged executive will understand they need to resource it all the way through, put designated people involved with the process. A good change management is critical, but resourcing the team is equally important. Having a designated resources that's not a part-time demand planner, part-time forecaster, part-time supply chain, and oh yeah, guess what? I also want you to implement a whole new technology and whole new process for us as well. Part-time won't get it. You need designated resources, and a good executive will understand that and designate those resources and be part of that team going forward. They want to hear those weekly updates and not just a check the box, okay, you did the job, but dialogue with the people doing it and understand exactly what they need to be able to do it better. That's an engaged executive. The fourth thing I would say, as far as a pitfall, obstacle for digital transformation, Misty mentioned it herself, and it's very overlooked. It's that change management. A good transformation project will impact the ecosystem of a business. It will impact every functional area, will interact with different functions maybe differently, will interact with technology differently. And she said it very well that, people, they don't mind things change around them. It's just when you start changing their lives is when they really get concerned. And a transformation project will change everybody's life inside of an organization. So you need to start looking at change management before you even get started. Have a proven change management strategy. There's a lot of different information. IBF has a great article about this as well on their demand-planning.com that talks about change management for an S&OP. But you can really relate that change management to transformation project, change management for any type of process, anything that really impacts an organization. Consider change management as a key element to that as well. And it's just simple things. As the vision's obviously one of it. Having that champion and sponsor is another one. Things we've already talked about already as hurdles are part of a good change management. But then it's the other parts of understanding the different things you're going to hit during the quick wins you may have, the different plateaus you may have, understanding those things, celebrating your wins, communication, how you're going to communicate this out to the broader audience so people feel more engaged from every level, from the top to the bottom. Everybody's engaged in the process. So they understand and they're going through this journey with you. How do you solicit information and get other functions involved? All those are key points and key parts of a good change management strategy. And I said there's a lot of good articles out there, not only at ondemand-planning.com, but outside of that. I mean, you can Google change management and find a lot of good research and good techniques for change management. And to be honest, that is one of the overlooked. I've went through multiple transformation projects over the past decade, and not all of them were successful. I was part of that 70% for some of them. To be honest with you, I was. Even some of the most successful on paper wasn't successful. And the reason being is because I would point probably because that change management is the number one. Because even though maybe the executives didn't understand it or we didn't get the full benefit of it, I'll put the blame back on myself. That I didn't do a good enough job communicating those risks. I didn't do a good enough job having everyone on board through this process. So I think some of my biggest success, but yet failures when it comes to transformation, was because I neglected that change management piece. So I hope, as I learn from my mistakes, I hope you don't fall into that same pitfall as well and have a proven change management all the way through it. The last piece, I'd say the number 5, as far as the biggest pitfall, is choosing the right technology. Find a partner. And that's critical because unfortunately, a lot of transformation projects are driven technology to a transformation. That's actually the opposite way. What did I lead with? What was the number 1 pitfall? Without rewinding this podcast, what was the first thing I said was the number 1 pitfall? Vision. Second was strategy. I didn't start with technology. The biggest reason why digital transformations fail is it's not all about technology. It's about the people. It's about the change. It's about the processes. It's about the strategy that you have. And those need to come before the technology. It's people, process, technology. But at the same time, I'm not discounting technology. Technology is critical going forward. If you're still living in Excel, guess what? You're way behind the curve. Excel's great. It's going to give you reports. It's going to give you some data manipulation, be able to do some sorting. But if you're trying to plan inside of Excel today, you're behind the curve and you're not going to be able to keep up with the business of tomorrow. Technology is going to enable that visibility you need going forward. Technology is going to enable the forecasting that you need to be able to do, the predictive analytics going forward, looking at external data sources and being able to plan. It's going to help you with collaboration. You can't plan the way you did 20 years ago with the technology you had 20 years ago. You need to start looking forward. So I'm not discounting the need. Matter of fact, technology is a critical component of transformation projects going forward. And with that, when you have your strategy, find the technology that fits that strategy. Don't take technology and try to force a strategy. You need to find a good partner. And with that, find the technology that really will grow with your organization as well. The Institute of Business Forecast, Journal of Business Forecasting. It's a quarterly publication that comes out. You can actually have the magazine. You can find it online. It's available to members. So if you're number one, if you're not a member, you need to become a member today. Especially during these times we're facing right now, become a member. But the Journal of Business Forecast had the most recent. Every winter we do a special issue. I talked about the Women in Demand was the 2018-2019 winter edition. Was we highlighted women in this planning field, and all articles are written by them. The 2019-2020 edition was a special issue talked about technology. So what I'm saying, when I mention you need to find a technology partner, find one that meets your strategy, how to find one, Everything that I'm talking about is outlined with different experts, different practitioners talking exactly about how to find the right partner for you, how to find the right technology, what to look for in a forecasting, supply chain management. What exactly should you be looking for? How long does ROI take? Should you be using a consultant or not? All those different types of questions that you are probably having right now when it comes to technology. And before you start this transformation, start with that journal right now. It's available for free to members. You can find it online. I would highly recommend you go back and check that out. You can go to IBF.org to find that specific journal. And besides that as well, there's a lot of other great content available online at that site as well. So what I want to leave you with real quick is vision. Before you start a transformation project, understand the why. Strategy. Transformation projects need to be linked to the strategy of the organization. Engagement. You need engagement at every level, especially the top. Sponsorship's not enough. You need to be engaged. But then also consider the engagement of the entire organization. One way to get that engagement is change management. Look at a change management strategy to really get you through it. And then finally, resources. Not only the people, not only your process, but find a technology that really enables your strategy and vision going forward and will be a good partner going forward. So with that, that's a little bit about transformation. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Hopefully you go back, view some of these other podcasts as well. I said I do want to boost up those subscribers. We had hundreds of subscribers in just the first week. I want hundreds of more. Trying to at least reach 1,000. I want to reach 1,000 before this episode goes live. So hopefully we get that as well. So with that, I want you to check out IBF.org. Check out demand-planning.com. And also look for conferences going forward. We started off talking about a recent conference at the University of Kentucky, Gatton College. There's a lot of conferences that are being canceled right now because of this global pandemic. I got news for you. That doesn't stop your ability to learn. We got exciting news coming up. We're going to have conferences still going during these times. So you need to go to the IBF.org events page. Find virtual conferences. Find conferences you can attend. Find online webinars, other events that are available. After this pandemic, it's the same website, IBF.org events page, to find the new conferences that are being rescheduled. New conferences are coming on board. I hope to see you at a conference in the future. If you have any questions, bring them in. I'm getting a lot of great feedback. You got comments? I love comments. Please let me know your comments about how these are going, what you want to hear from us in the future. We want to keep bringing these to you. So thank you to Arkiva for being the sponsor for these as well. Great technology partner that I've used in the past, and great technology partner for Escalade Sports that showed great benefits. So check them out as well. And with that, thank you guys very much. And don't forget, wash your hands.